we now welcome in on the phone our good friend Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News. Mike, you know this program well. You know Tom Crean well. Were you surprised at all by the decision, or at least the timing and how quickly it came after the NIT loss?
Yeah, definitely surprised by the timing. I thought that Indiana would maybe allow Tom some time to see if there was another opportunity out there for him. And remember, if most circumstances, if Tom leaves on his own, Indiana can not pay a buyout or can reduce the buyout. And so I was surprised that they were so eager. And one of the reasons why I thought that they would allow it to sit is that Indiana doesn't have to worry about competition in the market. Indiana doesn't have to worry about anybody else that has an opening. They want somebody, and they put their eyes on the right target. They're going to get him. There are lots of coaches who are very capable, who are fairly well paid in their current positions and not moving for anything but something they consider to be a slam dunk. And Indiana is one of those kinds of jobs.
Mike, Shon and I were just having a very similar discussion because there was a reporter in that press conference that kept asking Fred Glass, doesn't history start to eliminate itself when it's been 15 years since you played for a national championship, when it's been 40 since you won one? Or doesn't that make this less impressive? Doesn't this make this job not as elite as it once was? You would argue the counter.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, it's not been keeping company with the people that it should be. There's no question about that. But it still is a great circumstance for the next coach. And in many ways, much better. I mean, it's drastically better than when Tom Crean took it over. One, Cook Hall. Two, Simon Scott Assembly Hall is completely refurbished. Three, you actually have some players left, which Tom did not. So, and you don't have any NCAA or APR concerns left over from the previous regime either. So this coach walks into the circumstance. Now, it'd obviously be better if you knew you had like 6 really good players, and you got a few, but probably not the core of a Big Ten contending team at the moment. But that's about the only thing that's missing. I'm sure Indiana will be willing to pay. They clearly were willing to pay Tom to leave. So I don't think there's much missing other than it has been a while since Indiana was Indiana. And that's true in a lot of ways. I just really strongly believe that the really good coaches that have been waiting for an opportunity have been waiting for one like this.
My math, not so good. 30 years, of course, since Indiana's last national championship. Mike, let's move on to what comes next for the Hoosiers. You know that there are going to be folks out there throwing out the same names they've thrown out in the past, and some are unrealistic, namely Brad Stevens. Some may be a bit more realistic. What names who are realistic would fit in your mind? Who should be on Fred Glass' short list?
Well, I would look very strongly at Brad. Excuse me. I would look very strongly at Chris Mack. I think he fits all the components that you want. He's a very personable guy, deals well with the media. That's an important part. There are probably more people covering Indiana basketball than almost any program in the country. I think the only one that's comparable is Kentucky. And so you have to be able to manage that. And I think that after the early years, I think Tom had trouble with that. I think that you need to be able to get with the Indiana high school coaches again. Indiana has been really cut off from what's been an extraordinary talent base for a long time. I mean, you look back to the early 90s, and their 93 team that went, I think, 31-4, Calvert Chaney from Evansville, Damon Bailey, you had Alan Henderson from right here in Indy. There are just so many Indiana players, and it's not changed that much. I mean, Zach Irvin's playing in the tournament now from Fishers. Gary Harris, who was so good at Michigan State, from Fishers. You had 4 top 30 players, I think it was, in the class of 2017. Indiana got none of them. The next Indiana coach, whether it's Archie Miller or Greg Marshall or Chris Mack, has to get back to connecting with those people.
All right, Mike, we've got about a minute left. The other opening in the Big Ten right now, Illinois, opened a day or two before this Indiana opening. I know you said that Indiana will not be competing against many, if any, other schools for this opening. Does that mean that there are two separate candidate pools for those two jobs, that one is not going to affect the other?
I think that's largely true. I think Illinois can be competitive for some of the people that I talked about, but I think you have to sell yourself harder than Indiana would. I mean, the complication with Illinois, look, they got fabulous support and very good facilities, a great, the great rebuild of State Farm Arena, and they've obviously got terrific support, and there's a great talent base in Illinois, but it's still a challenge to convince Chicago young people that Illinois is the place. I mean, because it's been a while since that was the case. And so, and because there is such a geographic disparity between Chicago and Champaign, not by miles, but by the nature of the place. So you have to get back to Chicago and sell those young people on it's your state school and this is the place for you. That was the case back in Stephen Bardo's day, and it was great for the Illini. But you have to reestablish that connection, and that's I think that's the difference for between Illinois and Indiana.
Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News. No one does it better. As always, Mike, we appreciate the time. Headed off to Indy or staying nearby in Indy to watch Friday's games. Enjoy them, my friend.
Thanks, Rick.